I have been bugging Zev Press, who's joining me today, to join me on this episode for quite a while. And I finally broke him down, and he is here. Zev Press is officially site foreman for Jaz Build. Is it Jaz Build?
Jaz Building Group, yeah.
Awesome. But as we were just discussing, you wear many hats. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I feel like my husband's missing.
Yes.
Full disclosure, my husband and Zev are very good friends. Brothers from another mother, yes. But then Helen would feel left out. So
That's
now
true.
I feel like it could just be a dinner party.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get back to the episode. I have wanted Zev to be on for a while because so much of my business is obviously the building of a home, how it's built, but also renovation. So I go through homes all the time that are not brand new, that need work, and clients will ask me, well, how much would that cost? Or is that a big deal? Or is that a big renovation? Or was that built well? Usually the answer is no. And I have started to say that I used to quote people all the time, roundabout, like just knowledge of being doing it so long. And ever since COVID, I say, I won't tell you. Like, I will not even guess anymore, because I once told a client, I can't remember how much it was, to take popcorn off the ceiling. Remember, I called you about it. And I was like, I don't remember what I said to them. And I got a quote back for $18,000. Yeah. One floor to have popcorn ceiling removed from a home in Beverly Glen. Anyway, so I am excited to hear what you have seen, what you are seeing. But I think a lot of people are interested to know, like, when should I renovate? When should I not renovate? So I'm going to stop talking and ask you some questions. But what would you say is the biggest mistake? Let's start renovations first. What would you say is the biggest mistake clients make when looking at renovations or making a decision to make a renovation or do a renovation? I can't speak again today.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all good. Right. So thank you for having me. There's clients are really the number one is cost. Like, everybody wants to know cost, and everybody's financial situations are all different.
Right.
Their expenses are different.
Yeah.
But no matter the size of the job, they're wondering, what's the cost? How many times have I got to call Zev? How much is it going to cost me to renovate my bathroom? How much?
I don't know. Well, also, like, what
Constant.
fixture? I know.
Constant.
I'll be like, can you give me a ballpark of what it costs to do a bathroom now? And you're like, Rachel.
Right.
No, I can't. How big is the bathroom? Where's the bathroom? What kind of fixtures do they want?
Exactly. Cost is, sometimes clients kind of shoot themselves in the foot because they kind of have this idea, but they hear it from somebody else here and there, and they don't really
and by
dig
the way,
down.
Spoiler alert, it's always lower than it should be.
Yeah, way lower. But they don't do their research.
Right.
And talking to multiple builders or multiple general contractors.
Really?
They don't do it. And
really?
Yeah. And what happens is, a lot of the time they'll shoot themselves in the foot and they'll just say, I can't do it. But
because they got one quote and then they're like, I can't do it.
And that's it, right? So, why not take the effort and the time to go and find out from multiple people? You might have a really low quote, you might have a really high quote. Well, then it's probably somewhere in the middle.
I was just going to say, what's the advice out there? And I've heard that also. I had a client the other day who said to me, we need to get the roof done. Who do you recommend? We have two other references. So I gave them my guy. I said, whatever he gives you, I trust him. I can't speak to the other people that you have. And they told me they got 3 significantly different costs. And, that's, I think, one of the biggest challenge and hindrance for people. And I've been in the same situation where you're like, well, what's the right decision? Right. Too high, the highest one, is that the right one? Is that the one where I'm going to get it done properly? Is the low one? Or am I getting ripped off?
Right, exactly. And everybody's kind of scared about that.
Right? Or do I go with the low one, and am I getting a good value, or am I going to have a shitty job done, right?
Right, exactly. So at the end of the day, the builder, the general contractor, he trusts his trades. He knows they will do a great job. And he or she also knows that if there's a problem, he can get that guy back to come and fix. So with regards to the cost, if a roofer says, listen, I need this roof done, my roofer is going to give me a price. I'm giving it directly to you.
Right.
I'm not changing it. I'm not doing anything. So when we quote a job and we're giving a set of plans, we will actually go through our list, a 100 line item list, and send that list out to all of our trades saying, roofer, I need a price. Electrician, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And we fill out that sheet and we give it to our client. Say, listen, this is the cost. You want to see an email thread? I can show you an email thread. I'm giving you what we've been quoted. So there's no change in the number.
Right, and you will show them a line item.
Yeah, line
Do you know,
items.
by the way, you know how many contractors or builders do not do line items who are like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's...
I'm like,
yeah, right.
I mean, I'm not disparaging anyone. I feel like I put that disclaimer on all the time, but like, really, if your builder is not willing to give you a line item, I would run for the hills. But that's just my personal opinion.
Transparency is key. Being transparent and
I don't care what their excuse is. I don't.
Right. Well, be transparent with the client. The communication is open, and you go from there. If the job is too expensive, maybe it's too big. Okay, tail it down a bit. Maybe you're not going to do a kitchen and a bathroom. Maybe you just do your kitchen, or something.
It's a very good point, I think, and I always tell clients this also. Like, whatever you're going to do it well. Right? So I would rather see a client, like they're like, well, if we're going to do it, should we do it with 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms? I'm like, I'd rather see you do 2 really good bedrooms than a 3rd bedroom that's a closet that's not usable. Right? Like, so same thing is that, don't do a kitchen half-assed so you can do them like the principal bathroom ensuite also. Do one at a time. Right. Challenges, as we know, and I say this to clients all the time when they're asking me this, like, well, how much would the kitchen cost? And I'm like, it's actually not the kitchen. It's the floor. It's one of the reasons why I haven't done my kitchen to date. I mean, so now you have the kitchen, then you have to do the flooring because you pulled up the island. Oh, and then you've pulled up all your baseboards, which means all the molding has to change. And it's like the next thing you know, you've basically done everything.
Right. So, and that's where 30 years of experience from Jaz comes into play.
Right.
Like, we'll set all that up and say, listen, this is what you're going to run into. We'll have to coordinate all the trades and get pricing from all those trades. Right. And you'll have a more accurate price, a more accurate quote. Somebody used to tell me that back in the day, it was like $300 to renovate and $500 per square foot and $500 to build. Now people say it's about like $500 to renovate per square foot per living area.
Right.
It's again, that's a guesstimate. Like,
but is it like, that's actually a really question because people have asked me that now. Like, it's
so hard to tell, and that's why we don't kind of do it. We say, listen, here's our line item pricing. It's as accurate as it can be.
Right.
There's things we are going to kind of know what to charge just by, the years of doing it.
Right. You know how much, listen, if I were to say to you, how I have to go get my roof done, the size of my house, you could probably say to me, Rach, it should be around this much, right?
Exactly.
How much is it to, like, you want an air conditioner, average size house, whatever. Yes, it's going to cost you about $5,000, $6,000 installed. Fine. Right. But like to actually say, I want to do a kitchen, could it be $100,000? Could it be $250,000? Like, it depends if you have a Sub-Zero or you have a small, right? Like, it's all of that stuff.
Right. And
paneled, who did.
Exactly. And during the reno of the kitchen, let's keep the kitchen, who knows what we're running into and behind the walls. So we can't see what's behind the walls, what's under the floor.
Oh my God.
And
it's true.
You're going to find stuff. And so we kind of say, listen, if you're doing this reno, add like 20% of contingency.
At least.
At the minimum, just in case, because we see it all the time.
Especially downtown. I had clients who bought this great semi in Little Italy, and we did a home inspection, and there was like knob and tube was removed. It was all good. And they opened up the walls, and guess what they found? Knob and tube.
Everywhere.
I mean, there's only so much you can, like, I'm laughing because it's like ridiculous, but you can't, you literally, and it doesn't matter. new house, old, and I'm not saying like a new build, but like new-ish house or a house that's 100 years old. I mean, there's always going to be stuff.
Always. You know, it's the older the house, then you kind of can expect what to find.
Yeah.
It's just the amount. But
Yeah.
the newer houses, who knows who's gone in and done work. So
Oh my God. And also like
9 yards.
who did the work? Was it
Right.
like the uncle that found himself really handy?
Right.
Or did they actually have a proper electrician?
Right.
Or, you know?
It all comes back to cost.
Oh my God. So I find that really fascinating that people don't do their due diligence. And I say this all the time when talking to buyers or sellers and having them, follow the same rule when getting quotes. Like I think, if you were going to get 3 quotes for a renovation or a build, you should do the same thing when looking for a real estate agent. And to know that people actually don't get more than, I mean, I guess everybody's busy and they're just like, you know what, Zev's such a nice guy. We'll just go with Zev. But the reality is that go with Zev, but at least go with Zev because you met 2 other people and they weren't the right ones.
Exactly.
And it would make your life so much easier because they saw that this was not the way to do it and they chose versus not being as educated about how your process. The other thing that you touched on, which I found really interesting, is your trades and your way of doing it and the ownership. So I think that's also really interesting because I think there's some people who are like, oh, I'm going to do some of this myself and I'm just going to have, or the other side of it, which I've encountered, is when they hire a designer.
So it's interesting.
No designers being mentioned. It's not. No. It's just that like I've seen it where the designer's like, "Oh, it was their fault. No, it's her fault." And there's that a little bit of like can be finger pointing if you guys haven't worked together.
100% it happens. Sorry, it does.
It does though. It's personalities. It's whatever.
Yeah, and with regarding the trades, so like with the trades that we use, we have a relationship, we have more control. So if a homeowner is bringing in their own trade that we've never met, it's great to meet a new trade and we can maybe make a connection and see what's going. Listen, if diamond in the rough, maybe it's a great trade and we use that trade in the future.
Right.
But as of that job, we don't have as much control and influence. We still can communicate. We still communicate with that trade and say, listen, we need you here, blah, 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 blah.
Right. But if their loyalty is not to you, they might just be like, sorry, dude, like I've got somewhere else to be. So I'll be there on Thursday. And you're like, this is not working.
Exactly. Yeah. But we gotta work with it, work through it. So, it's all doable.
No, for sure. I just think when you add in the additional elements, and I think some people don't know, like, do I call a designer? Like, who's my first phone call, right? Like, do I call a designer, say, I'm going to renovate, and then they give me the contractors? Or do I go to a contractor
It's a great question. So let's say...
Thank you.
You're welcome. Depending on the job, let's say you need to get a permit, and you're going to do some structural work. So you need to involve, number one, an architect. And the architect is going to involve an engineer. So the scope of work, there's that part of it. A designer, I think, like anything, like I go to a dentist to fix my teeth. I go to a mechanic to fix my car. Like if I don't know how to do that stuff, I'm getting a professional.
For sure.
Some people have a good eye and have good taste and can, know all the colors and do it all themselves.
Right.
Amazing. Like you don't necessarily need a designer. And we can help with that. But to me, it's like, if you have a designer, like that designer knows what to do, what colors, it's all set up. We are doing a very large build in Mississauga, and the designer has a binder that thick. And it is detailed as to where
they are worth the money.
They are worth the money. Yes, 100%, and can answer every question that comes up. Some kind of are a little wishy-washy, and are more of a roadblock than kind of helping progress a little bit. And
Yeah, for sure. And as we talk about in every profession, there's good ones and there's bad ones. And I think that there's ones that it's their way or the highway, and there's ones that also want to be more collaborative. But I think from a designer perspective, like, listen, when you are renovating a kitchen, it's important where you put the fridge and the stove and the sink and all. Like, there is a design perspective to it, and there's a way of doing it. Now, you could hire a kitchen, like you can work with a kitchen company, let's say that you're doing, but you do a kitchen company, do a woodworker, do you do right? There's mill workers that do, right? And then it has to be done by the designer. And so there's so many aspects. I mean, I always look at it this way. People are like, well, I kind of want to, I'm not saying people want to cut corners. I think it's very expensive. And I think they think, well, you know what? I'll just cut out the designer, right? I know what I like, right? And the reality is that the percentage of what you're going to pay that designer to work with a contractor, because it's almost like an additional project manager overseeing things. Not that you can't be involved or that you shouldn't be involved. You should be very involved. It's worth the money.
It is. Like, the designers have great ideas. They know what to basically
fabrics
all that stuff. They're definitely worth it. And a really good designer will will sit down with you, and just by having a discussion, will know what your likes and dislikes are. Yeah. And that designer might, when you're ready, bring 3 options. One, knowing you won't like, so in their head, okay. One is your wish list plus, right, and then one in the middle, right. So they kind of like can guide you. The really
good
well.
Ones, for sure. The good ones. I agree with you. So, knowing that I would not want to quote anything now, what would you say is the biggest change? So before COVID, you had your usual build, everything was fine. COVID hits, and now we have a massive supply chain issue. There's no wood. Yes. There's no nothing.
Nothing.
I was one of them that built my fence in my backyard during that. So I'm well aware. I actually think I even built my dock during that, because God forbid I should have done it before. Yeah, I the dock was also built during COVID.
Interesting.
Anyway, yeah.
Up there.
So what would you say that, so one, has the supply chain issue been rectified?
Yes. Yeah. The supply chain is pretty much gone back to normal. Okay. Even the cost of material, like during COVID, it dropped, and then it skyrocketed like triple, quadruple, and now
like 2x4s were
that's what you're right. That's what I judged the pricing on, was the price of a 2x4 at Home Depot.
I don't even want to think about it.
$3.28 to like 16 something. Like, it was insane, and it's gone down. So it's nuts.
I'd like a redo, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your dock must have been. Anyways, so yeah, it was a big change. It's back to normal.
But you know what the amazing thing that I found is, because money was basically free, no one thought about it. No. Right? I mean, one of the biggest trends that I saw in real estate was, and I was telling my clients this also, was, let's look for that diamond in the rough where you had found a house, good bones, right? And you can renovate it on your own over time, and you're not going to pay someone else like the premium for their renovations. And I'm not just talking about flipped homes, right? We're talking about, and now a house that needs work, no one's going after. And it's not that, so it's interesting. I was suspicious that some of it was supply chain. For sure, it's because money is so expensive now. Yeah. But are you seeing more builds than renovations?
It's actually a mix of all. I took a drive on Briar Hill from basically Allen Road to Yonge, and it changed.
Midtown Toronto.
Yeah, changes to Sherwood, to Mount Pleasant, and I counted like 18 builder signs just along Briar Hill, and it was a mix of new builds and renovations. So it's still happening for now. It's gonna slow down. I think it is slowing down a bit. Yeah. But
Yeah,
we'll
I just
see.
wonder like whether this is like those bills that you're seeing are peripheral of things that were started 6 months ago, a year from ago.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Yes, it is
Okay.
for sure.
So
100%.
So you would say the delay in your business is how, like ours is almost like ours can screech to a halt in 24 hours, right? Yours has a much longer process.
Ours has a much longer process. So the way I look at it is when I talk to demolition companies,
Oh, okay.
guys that go and take down a house,
Yeah.
if they say they're
Thanks,
slow,
Zev. We all know what demo.
well, I don't mean like,
No, I'm just making fun. Yes, yes, demolition.
yeah. If they're slow, then everybody's slow.
Interesting.
Right.
Are they slow right now?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
They're getting slow.
They're getting slow.
But
it's slowing down.
Slowing down. Now, listen, that we have jobs coming in the spring.
Right.
So, and that's because people just want to hold off for whatever reason.
Right.
So there are, I'm sure other companies have the same, that there's stuff down the pipeline.
Right.
It all depends.
Yeah. No, and I guess it'll change again if interest rates do start to fall again. It's an interesting time though. I think it'll be interesting to see what you guys see because they're like I have clients right now who are on the fence. They need a bigger house. Do they renovate their existing house or do they move? For all that the news is saying, there's so much inventory, I gotta tell you something, prices have not really fallen. Like maybe, I think when I looked like month over month or whatever, it's really like maybe 3%, a total, maybe you're looking at 6%, even condo sales. Mm-hmm. So once things start to heat up again, when the interest rates fall, do prices start climbing back up? But I think that it's that unknown of, and this family also, I said, listen, go, I gave them your name. I said, go and talk to contractors and find out what it's going to cost you before you get into it because, and, we thought we were going to build a cottage and we ended up buying, and I look back on it and I'm so thankful that that we just bought, and that just like from a time perspective for me, and also it's up north, and anyone who's building up north, like live up north, like you have to be on top of it. Yep. But I would also preface it by saying, not every personality can build, and not every personality can renovate. No. So, not to be like dark, but it's broken up marriages. It's broken up families. You can run out of money very, very fast. Yeah. It is something to really take seriously when making that decision. It is. And working with the right people, because I've heard horror stories.
Yeah. It's your major, your number one asset, right? And you're putting your trust into somebody, and you better have done your background, your due diligence, meeting with multiple contractors, getting multiple pricing, and work with somebody that
is reputable.
Yeah,
even I know
referrals and all
a
that.
family we know. I won't mention it, but that built a beautiful home in Lytton Park, and a month after moving into it, had water in their basement. Yeah. Like, I mean, this was like a beautiful $7 million home back then, and they had water in their basement. Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time, and this was a reputable builder. Right. Like, there's lots of things for sure that can go wrong.
For sure. That builder, though, if he's really good, will go back there.
Oh, yeah, he was there within 24
hours.
Right? He was there immediately, 100%.
Right, and that's also the important part. Like, trades go and they do their work on the site, and they come and then they go.
No, mistake for sure. Mistakes happen. Right. I had a client who built a brand new house. Her first night in the home, she went to have a shower, went downstairs to turn the lights off. There was water falling from the ceiling. Amazing. In her kitchen. Like, called me. I went over, like, hysterical. Yeah. I was sick for her. And it was because one of the trades didn't cap off when whatever, I don't even know what I'm talking about, but like capped off the water line in the shower.
Right. It happens. Mistakes happen, but they're
costly. This is like a house that like was $1,000 a square foot. This was no like,
yeah. It's a costly mistake.
Now, they were there in the middle of the night with everybody to fix it.
Right.
But
as long as that builder shows back up.
Yeah, that's
and
the
gets-
important part for
and-
sure. Yes, mistakes happen, and as
Yeah.
long as they're making sure it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
And it happens. And listen, I'd be lying. I'd say it hasn't happened to us.
It's happened to everybody.
It's happened
for
to
sure.
everybody. But as long as that builder gets back there and fixes it properly as fast as possible, then you've got a good guy.
Okay. This is not one of the questions I gave you, so I'm now going to put you on the spot. But is there anything that you're seeing in the build perspective that like you didn't see before COVID? Like, I guess people don't necessarily like. I guess it depends, but. I mean, are you seeing a lot of like, I know before COVID, more in the lower village, they were like digging down, they were doing like the 3 floors down because they couldn't go higher.
Right.
I mean, this is crazy wealth money, don't get me wrong, but like, they were doing like the tennis courts and then the swimming pool and that type of thing. Are you seeing, I heard that's kind of going away a little bit, but are you seeing like a lot more, let's say like 3rd floors happening because like committee of adjustments are being more lenient, like that type of
Yes.
stuff?
So we actually have done, I'd say about three builds where 3rd floors are going up, and
Right.
it's allowed.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong as long as you've got that permit and it's all
Right.
good. Because listen, now after COVID, people are thinking, I want my house to be like more of an experience than just a house.
Right.
Because
right. If I get stuck in it.
yeah, like I want to be able to go to my 3rd floor office and be sealed away from everybody, take my Zoom call or
Right,
whatever.
right.
So, or they want a theater because they might think that we're going to be here a little bit.
Right.
Possibly, because we've learned
Oh
from
my
COVID.
God.
Can you imagine?
The internet's going to lose their mind because you said theater in their house. I'm just letting you know. Get ready.
Sorry.
Get ready. The trolls are coming. But what I will say is I think that I've heard that like the city's caught up a little bit, or are you still seeing like a massive backlog on permits? Because now that you can do like the 5 units in your house and there's less you don't have to get people to sign off on your street, like that type of thing.
So you kind of do.
Okay.
You still do. We have a client who's going to be building in the Eglinton and Avenue Road area.
Yeah.
And went and knocked on all the neighbors' doors and came to community of adjustments. And there's actually renters, a lot of renters on that street. And the one, I think it was the
in
next
that
door neighbor
area.
renter.
Yeah.
And he said, no, we don't want you building.
What?
So
The renters can say that?
The renters said that. So I'm not sure what state this client's at yet. And
I didn't know renters. I mean, they don't own. I mean, I'm not to say that all the renters don't come for me, but like I'm not joking.
Don't come for me either.
Oh, they're coming for us.
Yes.
But I like from a standpoint of like they may leave in 6 months. So it's different. I guess someone could sell their house also.
Yeah, it will be interesting to find out what happens with it. So,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Well, there you go. Was that painful? No, it was pretty good.
Pretty good.
Good. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for. We'll definitely have to have you back now that
Sounds good.
you found out it wasn't so bad.
Appreciate it.
But that was really interesting. I will be very interested to hear how things progress next year.
Yes. Yeah. Me too.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Marvin, for letting Zev come and join us. We'll have to get Marvin to join us next time also.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.